Hello, Ma'am Elenita. I'm Jess Tasik from BSED English 1B. Today, I'm going to discuss the Week 6 module in Linguistics 2. First is explain the following functions of language by Michael Holiday. First is instrumental. The main function of language is called instrumental function. We can call this its practical side because it serves a certain purpose within society. It accomplishes something either for the speaker or someone else, and this function helps us understand its purpose. Next is regulatory. The regulatory functions are just as important in the development of an individual as they are in maintaining proper physiological states. It is the function that controls the behavior of another person or others. For the next is interactional. The interactional function is the communicative use of language. When people communicate with each other, they have to put ideas into words and sentences so that others can understand them. Most language users rarely think about how they're using their own language for communication purposes or what purpose their language serve as they interact in speech situations. For the next is personal. Personal function means information about people and their relationships. For example, we use pronouns such as me or you to identify a particular person or who is being spoken to. For the next is heuristic. The heuristic function refers to the ability or potential of language for helping people make decisions. One of the main reasons humans use language is that it helps them to solve problems and deal with specific situations. Therefore, the concept was created in order for linguistics to understand better how exactly communication works. And for the next is imaginative. Imaginative function of language is the ability to represent mental images. It is a complex phenomenon as it involves both linguistic and non-linguistic elements. The imaginative function of language is the ability to use words, sounds, and grammatical forms to evoke pictures, images, or scenes in mind. Next is informative. The informative function of language is to inform or provide a piece of information. It may also be called the expository function. This part aims to give an audience new knowledge or facts that they did not previously possess on a subject matter. And for the next, I'm going to explain the following theories on the region of language. So first is the bow wow or cuckoo theory. According to this theory, language began when our ancestors started imitating the natural sounds around them. The first speech was onomatopoeic, marked by echoic words such as moo, meow, splash, cuckoo, and bang. Next is poo-poo theory. This theory holds that speech began with interjections, spontaneous cries of pain, surprise, and other emotions. Next is ding dong theory. This theory, favored by Plato and Pythagoras, maintains that speech arose in response to the essential qualities of objects in the environment. The regional sounds people made were supposedly in harmony with the world around them. Next is Yoheo theory. According to this theory, language evolved from the grunts, groans, and snorts evoked by heavy physical labor. Next is Lala theory or sing-song theory. The Danish linguist or Otto Jefferson suggested that language may have developed from sounds associated with love, play, especially a song. Next is Tata theory. Language began as an unconscious vocal imitation of these movements, like the way a child's mouth will move when they use scissors, or my tongue sticks out when I try to play guitar. For the next is the divine source. Divine origin is the conjecture that human language originated as a gift from God. No scholar takes this idea seriously today. Numerous and varied explanations have been put forth to explain how humans acquired language, many of which date back to the time of the Paris Bond. Next is the oral gesture source. It suggested that the evolution of sounds involves a connection between physical gestures and orally produced sounds. Most of our physical gestures are means of communication. Even with the ability of speech, we frequently use our hands, face, and body to express certain emotions and also intentions. For the next is the glossogenetics. It is the study of origins and development of language. Physiological adaptation. The theory comes from the idea that there is a link between physical gesture and orally produced sounds. First of all, a set of physical gestures was developed as a means of communication. Next, I'm going to explain the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. The Whorf hypothesis, or Whorfianism, is a principle suggesting that the structure of language affects its speaker's worldview or cognition, and thus people's perceptions are relative to their spoken language. For the next, I'm going to give the meanings of the following. First is semiotics. Semiotics is a study of the use of symbolic communication. Semiotics can include signs, logo, gestures, and other linguistic and non linguistic communication methods. Next is icon. An icon or symbol is a word, phrase, image, object, action, event, or pattern, or the like that presents something else by association, resemblance, or convention. Next is symbol. Symbols are representation of an event, action, object, person, or place that can be used to communicate about the event, action, object, person, or place. Symbols can be used for the both receptive and expressive communication. Next is the index. The index is designed to help you communicate clearly with your intended audiences. You can use the index in several ways. First is to inform the design and development of a new communication product, or to assess the clarity of a communication product prior to the public release. Next is ethnopoetics. Ethnopoetics is a method of recording text versions of oral poetry or narrative performances that uses poetic lines, verses, and stanzas instead of prose paragraphs to capture formal poetic performance elements which would otherwise be lost in the written text. And for the last, I'm going to differentiate between American language, sign language, and a Philippine sign language. American Sign Language, or ASL, is complete. Natural language that has the same linguistic properties as spoken language, with grammar that differs from English. ASL is expressed by movements of the hands and face, while the Filipino Sign Language is a sign language originating in the Philippines. Like other signs language, FSL is a unique language with its own grammar, syntax, and morphology. It is neither based or nor resembles Filipino, or English.